Hi everyone. Today our objective is to use opener phrases to transition our reader through the middle main body paragraph of our narrative story. As a few reminders for opener phrases happen at the beginning of a sentence. They are not a complete thought, meaning they can't stand alone without additional information, and they are followed by a comma. That word transition means to move, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. When we write our middle main body paragraph, we need to move the reader from the beginning of the action through to the end of the action using opener phrases. Just to show you a quick example of an opener phrase, this sentence says early in the morning. And notice if I just said early in the morning, the reader has no idea what happened. They'd be left wondering. But when I use a comma and extend the rest of the sentence, it makes sense. Thunder shook my house. So that opener phrase helps us understand when this happened. It was early in the morning. And then if I wanted to move the reader to what happened later, I could say later that evening, comma. Notice that phrase on its own does not make sense, but if I said the sun came out, now I know that that happened later in the evening. So these could be phrases to use to help move a reader through the action of your middle main idea, and that's what we're going to work on today. So my middle main body paragraph that I'm working on to elaborate is Mrs. Keegan's class and the writing assignment that she gave us. From my beginning, I know that Mrs. Keegan did not think very much of me as a student. She often called me a dreamer. So that's going to lead perfectly right into that middle main body paragraph. I have a ton of space on this line, but because I'm starting a new paragraph, I'm dropping down. I'm going to indent. As a convention for good writers, we show the reader where another paragraph is beginning. So I'm going to say another, and it was another Monday morning. So capital M for Monday, because that is a specific detail. Another Monday morning, let's see, rolled around in Mrs. Keegan's class. Remember, she's one of my main characters in this story. So when I use her name, I have to capitalize it and continue my thought. Mrs. Keegan's class. Let's see. And what were we doing on that Monday morning? And we were, notice we're talking past tense. So we say we were learning about different types of literature, about different types of literature. And again, sometimes I sound out these words when I'm trying them out in my writing. And I want to give my reader just a little bit of extra information. There was a specific one that we were writing about this week. This week was folk tales. End of my complete thought, so I can put a period right there. So notice I'm going to use a transition to move. There's another Monday morning, and so this happened after we finished reading. I need a comma right here because my readers don't know what happened after you finished reading. So that is an opener phrase to transition into what happened next. Mrs. I'm going to refer to her now as Mrs. K because sometimes that's what we called her. Mrs. K gave us our writing assignment. We had a job to do. And so now my reader's going to want to understand this was due at the end of the week. I can use a dash right here as a closer phrase to help the reader understand what that assignment was. What was it? We had to create our own, and I'm going to put that in all capital letters because this was the writing assignment I'm focused on in this middle. Our own folktale to watch my writing just a little bit, period. So now I have a whole week. This started out on Monday, and now it's going to be due at the end of the week. On Friday. So let's see, every day after school, every day, because now I'm showing the action of what happened every day since we got that assignment. Every day after school, and again, my reader needs to know what happened, so I'm using a comma as an opener phrase to move my reader to what happens next. I worked and slaved. I really want my reader to understand that I really did work hard on this over writing this story. End of my complete thought. So I'm going to put a period right there, and I'm going to keep moving. But I want my reader to know that this was hard work. It was not easy. So I'm going to say balls of crumpled. Actually, no, I'm going to say, I'm going to say balls of crumpled paper. Balls of paper crumpled in frustration. Some of you can probably relate when you're just really frustrated and things aren't going well with your work. You just want to scrunch that paper up and chuck it. So balls of paper crumpled in frustration, because that's how I was feeling at the moment. In frustration, littered my bedroom. So I want the reader to see I was really trying my very best throughout this process. So I know I often thought I wanted to quit and just say, you know what, this lady doesn't think much of me anyway, so I'm just going to stop right here. I often thought about giving up. After all, and I want to put that thought in there, after all, Mrs. K didn't expect much from me anyway. But I want to show my reader that I persevered. I did not give up. I kept going. So let's see. Even though it was tempting, comma, because the reader doesn't know what happened, I persevered. That means I kept going. This is where I'm going to stop today so that you all have time to think about your middle main idea and how you'll use opener phrases to transition through your first middle. When we come back to the next day, I'll finish this middle and also write my end. But when I look at just a few examples of that opener phrase, I had an opener phrase of every day after school, and notice that I used a comma there. Happy writing, everybody.